Mana. Okay, just a quick video. I'm back from holiday, so yes, I'm quite in the mood for trains. This is a Frateschi, what the local dudes call a Class 35, which it isn't. There's not a single body panel on this thing that is similar to our 35. Now, the reason for this video is I want the dudes on Facebook and YouTube and whoever knows what these things are all about to tell me what is the stigma attached to a Frateschi chassis, which is what we have here. Now, I've heard stories about bad pickup through the wheels. I've heard stories of them not pulling well. None of these has ever been in my experience. I mean, I've put decoders in these, probably 40 of them. And the motor that's in there, I've always had very good running characteristics from an ESU decoder with this specific motor. Very, very smooth running and at very, very low speed, which is all that you actually want. What did happen to some of them was some installers of these decoders used this little board here so they left the board there, put the decoder in, and then from this board they used these 2 points, that one there, and these 2 points here, that one there, and that one there, and they actually attached the pickups for left and right on the decoder track input. They used this board, which was exactly where the problem was. If you do it like that, you have problems. I don't know why. I've tried to figure it out. Anyways, if you actually couple these two up, these two and these two, up directly to the decoder, you never have any problems. Now, okay, now that we're there, why I am gunning on about this and why I want some info from you guys. Everything I do in 1 and 24 scale, all this stuff here, I can do in HO scale as well. All right? So it's basically a matter of just redesigning it slightly to go to a smaller scale, and then you have this loco here, which is a 35 GM, and if done right, you get to this, which is HO scale. All right? We have to, okay, look, everything here is still loose and stuff. You see this, I haven't touched anything to it. And you have to know that all these were failed prints. So there was a problem with some of them somewhere. This one over there had it looked like a run in the corner there. And the tank there, it failed on the corner. Stuff like that. But don't worry about that now. What I'm trying to tell you is I've used the Frateschi chassis, okay? But I'm not too sure if it's this flimsiness in the chassis that bugs the dudes or if it's just Frateschi in general, which I don't get. Let me take this off, all right? Now, also keep in mind that I've done this by hand, so if I get the go-ahead, then I will get these chassis bent. I'm not too sure that I want to use brass because it's still too light to my taste. This loco with that body comes in at about 220 grams, which is heavier than a 34 Frateschi, but not as heavy as a Lima, but the Lima only drives on the one side. So I know for a fact that the Frateschi normally outpulls the Lima because it's all-wheel drive. Now, in this specific case now, I've just soldered this brass piece, spaced it up with little plastic pieces to get a chassis more or less that works, to see, what needs to be done. Because you've got to shorten the carbon shafts like this. These are just pressed in now. I mean, I will make new ones when I build you a model. But also, to get extra weight into it, I've put some, I don't know if you can see it there, I put some weights in the tank there. But even with that, it's still too light. Now, if I take this chassis, this bit here, and I take flat bar, that width, and about 3 mil thick, which will be hell of a heavy, and I get my buddy with his milling machine, and we mill these pieces out here, and we mill that out, and we drill the holes so that the towers fit. Will that be acceptable for you dudes? Because I have absolutely no problem with this motor. I've pulled this motor through the arse like you cannot believe, and it just kept coming back for more. I did burn one out of probably 40. I burned one, and that was, it actually went through a point where it wasn't supposed to go, and it slammed into something else, and it stood there spinning. And I went to eat, and when I got back, it was still running. And from there, it was a bit erratic, so it did burn the brushes. And I'm talking about an hour that it was standing there. And yeah, to me, that's totally acceptable. I mean, I can't fault that. If the pickup's right on these things, with that motor, with the dual flywheels, you can get this thing extremely smooth. Okay. Now, so this is the body here. You can see there in the corner, there was a run there. But, you know, we're still busy sorting out the resin printer. This is the class 32 that I want to do later. I mean, look, I can even print those steps. Very, very fine. We got a hell of a good printer, resin printer. I can do the handrails and all of that stuff. So, detail-wise, I mean, I can put all the pipes and stuff that I put on here, or most of them, I can mock up there that it looks very, very detailed. The only problem now is it doesn't help I go through all this hassle and they tell me, oh no, but it's a Friteshi. I don't want Friteshi. And then I'm just back to square one. What I want to say is, because this chassis is plastic, it's easy to get rid of it. It's easy to modify. It's easy to get the towers to work. I mean, I've never, ever packed one of these towers up. Not once. And I've pulled some heavy loads with mine. I mean, at Anton Koen's layout, I mean, we went up the inclines there with massive weight. Sometimes pulling 2 and 3 of them, and never had a problem. So I don't know if it's because they're cheaper or what the story is. To me, this is just a good chassis to start with because it is modifiable. You can do whatever you want to that chassis. All right, so this is the plan. And then the only other problem that I foresee is if this body is on and this thing is to scale. I want you to have a look there where it sits on the rail. I don't know if you can see it there. That's prototypically correct. That's the height on the rail, above the rail. Now, I know that in HO scale, I can't go as crazy as I do, like that there, in HO, because the tracks are more uneven and there's a lot. So what I want to say is, I am not prepared to lift this thing up and make it look like a 4x4. You would have to have pretty decent laid track for this. Otherwise, it will bottom in the front there. You know, if you have this sort of thing where, okay, this is a flex, so I can't show you now, but if you have a transition into a ramp and that thing's too sharp, or not spaced nicely, this, that there will catch the rail. And that's going to be a nightmare. It's pretty, eh? Okay, it hasn't got its toolbox yet. The toolboxes, I should have the new bodies this week. Here you can see there's a scale toolbox. So these get printed separately. Resin printed. This is filament printed, but you know, they get printed separately. You know, so yeah, you can have a very, very, very detailed model, but I'm not even going to fiddle with it or carry on if there's going to be a Frateschi stigma and, whatever. Nobody will pay for a Roco chassis. A Roco chassis, a new one with a motor similar to this, an oil drive, is going to cost me $3,000. There's just no ways around it. And you pay $1,500 for the body. Now on $4,500, you haven't built anything. So by the end of the day, I can give you one with a Roco chassis. It's going to cost you $10,000. It's just nobody will buy them. So that is the problem we have. So what do you think? Tell me in the comments and stuff. And then we take it from there. Okay, kerels. Goed, tot ziens.